Hi, my name is Larry Keith. I'm Head of Conservation in Keeper, and I'd like to give you a little update on our work on Piazzetta's Sacrifice of Isaac. I'm here with my colleague Kendall Francis, and as you can see, the picture's moved on a long way from the first video. I talked before about how the painting had had a kind of unfortunate conservation history where it had been really quite seriously overpainted and extensively overworked, and more recently you may have seen some footage of the picture after cleaning with all the losses filled white but no retouching begun. It looked a little bit alarming, but I think you can see that the picture is progressing beautifully as it's being worked on by Kendall, who I'd like to have explain the work to you in more detail.
Hello, my name is Kendall Francis and I'm a Conservation Fellow here at the National Gallery, and alongside Larry I have been treating this painting by Giovanni Battista Piazzetta. So my colleague Larry cleaned the painting, and the next stage of treatment was to meticulously fill all the losses, and this resulted in the painting looking a bit like a snowstorm with hundreds of tiny white fills across the whole of the painting. And to some, to see all the loss could seem quite intimidating or somewhat daunting, but in actual fact, much of Piazzetta's work remains in very good condition and well preserved. And although it is an immense project, it is very much an achievable one. During the retouching process, we use a modern stable conservation material, and along with the diluent we retouch the losses to match the surrounding areas. Even after applying this golden ochre colour to the fills, it's already slightly knocked back the striking white colour of the fills, and already it's enabled a much better reading. The reason why we chose this golden ochre colour as the kind of ground base colour for the fills is because the original painting, the original ground is mostly made up of yellow earth pigments. So this enables us to work up from a similar base colour during the retouching phase, which we are now currently on. So, in opposition to Roger Fry's quite extensive, large-scale retouchings that covered a lot of original paint, we are taking a much more precise and controlled approach to the retouching, and this method allows us to actually, in contrast, regain Piazzetta's quite loose and fluid brushstrokes, and also how he has confidently applied the second composition of Abraham and Isaac on top of the original sketch underneath, and this is explained in the previous video linked above. The most challenging aspect of the retouching has been trying to distinguish the dialogue between the two sketches, and it won't be until every single loss has been reintegrated and retouched will we actually see Piazzetta's mind working on the canvas and actually letting the compositions speak for themselves. Piazzetta's palette is typically Venetian. You can see here in Abraham's red drapery that he has used a colour called Venetian red, which is commonly known as red ochre, and he has used mainly ochre and dark earth pigments, and this commonly sets him apart from his more vibrant and bright counterparts like Tiepolo. And a good example of this is the allegory with Venus and Time, which is actually in the National Gallery collection. However, I feel Piazzetta has still maintained this sort of luminosity through the use of a lighter coloured ground, and perhaps due to the inclusion of a pigment called Realgar. Realgar is a bright orange pigment, and this was typically locally used in Venice, and Piazzetta has incorporated this in his darker passages to maintain this luminosity and give the painting a much more golden hue. Now this painting has been challenging due to the two sketches and the fact that across the whole of the painting, each tiny little loss can be a complete different colour due to the fact that you can see here, this is where the original head of the below sketch is, and Piazzetta would have used darker earth pigments, whereas here this part is straight on to the ground colour. So the two localised areas can require two quite different colours. So the retouching has been absolutely fascinating and rewarding, and it's been brilliant to see Piazzetta's loose brushwork slowly evolve. You can see here I have started to retouch, so this area was the same with all these small losses, and you can see that I've started to regain some of Piazzetta's brush strokes and how he has applied the above composition on. And I've also worked on the face of Abraham, which is quite a repetitive face we see in quite a lot of Piazzetta's work. The next stage will be, after all the losses have been reintegrated and retouched, will be a final varnish, and the very much now displayable picture will be able to be seen on the gallery walls.